What's up, WWE Champions Universe? This is Lee from Champions Chat, and we haven't done this in a while, but it's time to bring back the Community Spotlight feature. This is now something that lives outside of the podcast. We're going to try and keep the podcast to about 30 to 45 minutes going forward now that it's back. Hooray. So we're going to do these as their own videos and give the chance for these in the community to shine a little bit longer. So today, we've got not only a friend of the channel, but someone that Rusty and I follow and love his content, Slim Numbers. Slim, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Lee?
Well, you know, this has been a Sunday where I've been streaming a lot, and I haven't gotten to do this in a long time, so it's been fun. It has been really fun. So, I'm good. Now, for those in the community now who are getting introduced to you for the first time, I know I just asked you this on the Austin video, but this is where people will be like, who's this Slim guy? Tell me, what is it that makes your channel unique in the Champions universe?
So I'll give you the same answer as the Austin's video.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who is answering the questions that nobody is really asking. So my content is all about how the game works. Okay, I've always said that I'm not much of a card mechanic. I'm not going to come up with the most amazing builds. I can't look at a card and be like, oh, check it out, red, black's going to be just fine for this, and et cetera, et cetera. I can't do that. That's not my skill set. What I can do is sit and look at a group of information and kind of reverse engineer it and back my way into why something works. So if you come check me out on YouTube, you'll see a whole bunch of videos of like, hey, this is why this thing works. This is why this works. This is how this works. And it's been a lot of fun trying to figure a lot of this stuff out, because there's not a lot of content out there based around the game. There's a lot of content based around the posters in the game. There's a lot of content about the contests in the game. There's a lot of content about what you can get and how you can get it. But there's not a lot of like, hey, this is why this card does so much damage. This is why multiply gems are awesome. This is why gem defense is weird. There's not a lot of content out there about that. And yeah, I saw a potential need, and I tried to fill it.
I love that. So maybe this answers the next question I was going to ask, but what made you decide you wanted to be a creator, and why Champions? Why this game?
So this is maybe like a 3-part answer.
I'm good for it.
So Champions as a game is one of those things that is just kind of like, I picked it up to waste time at work.
Yep.
I saw it as an advertisement. I think it was 2020 when I saw it. And I was like, oh, hey, I like wrestling. Oh, it's Candy Crush. All right, let's give this a shot and see what it's all about. And I was bad at this game for a long time. Because I just didn't quite put anything together. I was just like, all right, I'm going to load up with John Cena and break a bunch of yellow gems. I'll be fine, whatever.
Right.
Then I got into a good faction. Shout out to Cream of the Crop. Those guys are amazing. And I started realizing like, oh, wait, hold on. You can change your movesets around, and then there's some synergy to it, and this is super interesting. I've always been a big fan of grindy RPG, Diablo-style games, or Borderlands, which this is similar to in some ways. So I've always been a big fan of those games. And once I realized that this little game on my phone is kind of the same way, it was all downhill from there.
Right.
And I remember, so what got me on the trying to figure stuff out kick was boss battle showed up. Okay. And there was a particular boss battle that was gave a bunch of boosts to green gems and multiply gems. And so the entire faction is one of the first ones. The entire faction was sitting around like, maybe this person will be good, maybe this person will be good. And it frustrated me to no end. It's like, look, there are numbers in the game, there's damage in the game. We should be able to figure this out. Why can't we figure this out? So I took Zombie Dom, who I thought was going to be good, and I took a piece of paper and I did a whole bunch of math and was like, all right, guys, based on my math, Zombie Dom's either going to do 73 billion damage this boss battle, or it's going to do like 400k. I don't know. Who knows the answer to this?
Okay.
Neither one of those answers were correct. It didn't do 73 billion and it didn't do 400k, but it irritated me that there's not anything out there that says, hey, this is the order of operations on how damage stacks. This is how multiplied gems work. This is where multiplied gems get their damage from. This is how plate bonus damage works. This is how the boss battle buff works. And it took me years, and I mean literal years, to get to a point where I understood enough about the game where I woke up one day and was like, okay, I think I know how to actually figure all of this out. I just need to sit in front of my computer, spreadsheet, pencil, paper, cup of coffee. Let's get this done. Let's actually figure it out. And it only took me like an hour and a half to 2 hours to get it all done. But once I got it all done, it was like, oh, well, I've got it. Here it is. It's I can repeat this process. I can always come out with a reasonably good number compared to what is actually going to happen in game. I think I've cracked the code. Nice. And I was, and I was like, oh, neat. I think I have something here that other people may really enjoy. Or at the very least, they can skim through it, because that video was 55 minutes long. It's an insanely long video for this game, but nice. You can skim through it and get everything you need to know about gym damage out of the way from this one video.
Right.
Which was cool.
Nice.
And then the third part of the question, sorry, I'm rambling, I feel like, at this point.
No, you're good. This is your spotlight, your chance to say whatever you need to say.
Fix leech gems. That's what I want to say. Fix leech gems and make it so you can see them on the gym board, how much damage they're going to actually do, so you can calculate how much damage is going to happen when you do a leech gem big hit. That's what I want to say. Bring leech gem damage back.
Absolutely.
No, so I started making videos, actually. I ended up in Toxic Mafia for a cup of coffee, and somebody in the faction mentioned that they were sad that they they put resources into Powerhouse Braun Strowman, which is one of my favorite cards of all time, because you can do so much different stuff with it.
Right.
And they were lamenting the fact that, like, I can't believe I wasted resources on this. So I shot him a DM and was like, hey, we don't know each other very well, but like, if you don't mind me asking, what moveset are you using? And they shot back. They're like, oh, we're using triple red, and there's one piece that I don't have, but I feel like it should hit harder than that. I was like, all right, cool. Here's a different moveset if you don't mind being turn 2. And they're like, I don't mind being turn 2, but this seems pretty complicated. I was like, oh, do you want me to make a video of it? So my very first video was of Braun Strowman Powerhouse Countdown Blast Gym setup, recorded on my phone in my black leather recliner. Nice. Just talking into my phone using my stylus to tap everything around. And it was like 2.5 minutes. I sent it out. The very next feud, the same player used Braun Strowman, and I ended up 3rd overall in War Score.
Wow.
In TM. And I was like, hey, how often do you use Braun Strowman? He was like, it was in my lineup the entire weekend.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay, hold up. I got something going on here. I got something. Let's see if we can't figure this out. And then, like I said, realized very quickly I'm not a card mechanic. I'm a game mechanic. So all of my earlier videos are about cards and setups and stuff like that. And it didn't click. And it didn't click until I did the gym damage video.
Okay. That's an awesome story. And I knew you were in Toxic Mafia. I didn't know it was for a cup of coffee. I don't know why you left. I don't know what we got to do to get you back. But that's a side story that's not part of this conversation. So, you answered this, as you kind of went into the Candy Crush wrestling. But what is it about Champions specifically that draws your interest when you could be playing Borderlands or Diablo or whatever? What is it that keeps you in this game?
It's in my pocket.
Fair.
That's a real huge part of it, right? Is I open this game up probably 5 to 10 times a day. Just when I got 15, 20, 25 minutes. All right, cool. I'm going to knock out some tours, or I can go ahead and knock out my daily showdowns, or I got this task I can do, or I'll just open up my roster and look at, planning for future talent ups and things like that. So that is kind of number one. And then number two, the fact that it is so deep. I like games you can really sink your teeth into. And surprisingly enough, this is one of them.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people would actually be really surprised at how in-depth this game can get. Because on the surface, it doesn't look very deep at all.
Right.
So that's kind of what keeps me coming back. And then probably a little bit of sunk cost fallacy, but we won't talk about that.
Yes, so sunk cost fallacy. Yes. We showed that earlier on stream, actually. So we're
Exactly.
good there, right? Wow. Okay, so open-ended question. Your favorite thing about the game, and then you already kind of hit on one of the questions with Leech, but your favorite thing that you love, and then the thing, if you could change, one thing maybe in this game, what would it be?
So the one thing I would change, let's start with the negative first and end on the positive. The one thing I would change is I would figure out a way to have an independent testing ground.
Yeah.
Where you could make changes. So like everybody independently gets their own CC account inside the game with the things that are on their roster. But stuff like swapping medals, swapping plates, swapping straps, even maybe leveling up moves, leveling up superstars with coin and stuff, it doesn't actually happen. And you can play around and test things out and get even more creative, because right now, as a community, we're a little bit resource locked on being able to just swap things at random.
Yeah.
When I first started my channel, like I said, I was focusing more on the card side of things. I actually did a retrospective of every free tier card for 2024. All of the MLC freebies, I went back and brought them all up to 6-star bronze, so I had full access to their moveset, and tried to figure out if there was a relevant moveset for the meta at the time. And this was around December or January of this year. And I burnt through so many resources just to see if any of these cards can still be used. Newsflash, you still can't make Group Brutus Creed that great.
Sorry, hip designer. Sorry.
But on the flip side, so I'll take it back. Brutus Creed's not a daily driver for me, but if you...
Crap, hold on. Slim, are you still there? Dang it, I knew that was about to happen. My AirPods went dark. So if you can hear me, I can't hear you. We're going to have the same issue we just had with Rusty. I might need you to disconnect from the collab cam and then go back into it real quick. If you can hear me. Okay, there you go. Yeah, and go back into the collab cam. Same link. What's up, Elvin? Good to see you here. I'm going to bring Slim's voice back in just a minute here. All right, check. Can you hear me, Slim?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, my headphones were going to die. I mean, it's 3-hour marks. They held up pretty good, but I had to bring you back in. So one's in the chat if you can hear Slim again. And then last thing I heard was like, so newsflash, you can, and then you were gone.
Okay, so actually, in the defense of Brutus Creed, I did find out that if you are going up against an acro and you need a modern era powerhouse, Brutus is your guy because he has a move set that is specifically targeted towards acros, and he does pretty good damage. It's not like Bob Orton versus Powerhouse style good damage, but it's
Okay.
still pretty decent. But yeah, I completely wiped out my resources for like 45 days. In many ways, I'm still recovering from it.
Dang.
Man, within like a 2-week span, I took up Akam to 6-star bronze. I took up Andrade to 6-star bronze, Brutus Creed to 6-star bronze, and somebody else. Oh, I took up Tonga Loa to 6-star silver because I was like, actually, there might be something here. But yeah, all of those resources gone just by testing. If I had a testing environment, I wouldn't have had to do that.
Get this man a CC account. That's what I'm saying.
Y'all are too much. Y'all are too much. So since you bring it up as a side note, being a CC isn't necessarily a personal goal of mine.
Okay.
But if you guys want me to be a CC, and by guys, I mean the greater community, there's really one fail-safe way of doing it. Subscribe to me on YouTube, check me out on Twitch, hang out with me, comment on videos, make it so it's inevitable. Make me inevitable. Make me Thanos. Like, I have to have slim numbers as a CC, and eventually somebody will pay attention.
There you go.
That's my spiel.
You know, Bob and I were talking before he became an official CC, and you know, we were talking. He's like, "How did you guys get there?" I was like, "Frick, I have no honest idea." Furpo just dropped into my DMs one day, and it was like, "What in the world?" Now looking back, I think the podcast, the consistency, having the 3-minute move sets, which, you know, at the time, all the other CCs were doing just like 20, 30-minute videos. And we do those too on character builds, but the 3 minutes really distinguished. And then later on, we got the power ratings going, you know, just having these unique ideas, I think brought it in. And, but then I did say, I was like, you know what? But then we honestly just started on every podcast, just starting like hashtag make Champions Chat official. And then Bob has his podcast. And then he started doing like a make 2Bob official campaign. And sure enough, 2Bob got the official spot. I'm like, hey, you know what? So slim numbers, make slim official, hashtag make slim. But then if you put the numbers symbol there, it's going to screw it up. So, yeah, I think we just have to stick with hashtag make slim official. But otherwise, it's gonna catch 2 hashtags in there, and it's gonna screw up the system.
It'll just bold in the chat everywhere. Why
That's what I was thinking.
Screaming about Slim everywhere. Good grief.
Because we love him. Oh, jeez. Oh, well, you know, I can confirm someone from Scopely watches our videos because we not only became official, but then, like, we've actually been told, like, yeah, somebody in the dev team watches your videos. I'm like, that's amazing. So someone from the dev team, I don't know who it is still, watch Slim Numbers. Just saying. Just saying. So we got a couple minutes left here. I always try to give an open forum, like anything you want to say or anything you want to talk about. It's your time to shine. You got 5, you know, we could maybe stretch it to 10, but, you know, if it's 2, whatever. What do you want to talk about in the game? It's your floor.
So let's continue the theme of the day that I've seen so far. What's 7-star bronze going to be, or whatever the next rarity is? I sat and watched y'all's video on it, and you theorized that maybe move damage was coming next. I think I've heard our buddy Merrick's talk, and I sincerely mean buddy. Merrick's is awesome. I've talked to him a couple times.
He's good.
Dude's amazing. He's talked about move damage being kind of the next meta. I've heard Flex talk about gym damage being the next meta is the only thing that makes sense. And I see his standpoint too. What I want the next meta to be, and I think this could be so much fun from like gameplay loops and card builds, is let's make the unblockable damage the next meta. So this actually came from the retrospective series, but there are some trap gym users out there. When you break the trap, it does a massive amount of damage. I'm talking like 1.5 million from one trap being broken.
Right.
So in the Austin break it down that you did,
yeah,
you're doing 42 million damage. By the way, I did reverse engineer that, and I tried to tag you in it, but I did figure out how much damage you did in that big hit. but you're doing 42 million damage unblockable from breaking traps. Well, there's countdown gym users where their countdown gym, when it pops, does like 750 to a million damage. That's also big numbers. That is unblockable. Bleed is a thing that's still around that hasn't really been touched on a lot. I just think it would be super fun to have that kind of be in the forefront. In the forefront of the game, and we've seen little bits and variations of it from time to time, like the era of the Ghostbuster John Cena, where everybody had a deal X damage per type of gym that was out there. That was about the closest we've come to an unblockable unblockable damage meta. But there's so much more room for that in the game, I feel like, and I would really like to see some of that show up because. One, like I said, I think it would create fun gameplay loops. Two, it sidesteps tier 6 medals. It sidesteps gym defense setups. It sidesteps move defense setups if somebody's going to run one of those. The only thing that stops it is HP.
Okay. Right. So then that would be a reason why you would actually start using HP straps, HP medals, which we're not right now. Like, personally, I destroy as soon as I get them because they're currently mostly useless. There's some use cases, but they're mostly useless across the board. So that would be incredible.
Yeah, it would be really neat, I think. Neat. Neat. And I'm just a big fan of all things neat. So
nice.
Let's do it. Let's do that. Unblockable damage meta.
Okay. I mean, I could get down with that. I think whatever the next meta is, it needs to be different than whatever's going on right now. Otherwise, it doesn't feel like anything has shifted. It doesn't feel like anything's changed. But even though 6-star or tier 6 medals is different, it is more of the same because it's still mostly gym damage based. So it's still just, now we do a lot more gym damage. So move damage, leech gyms, unblockable damage. It's got to be something that shifts your focus to, now I got to build this over here. Otherwise, it's more of the same. And I like this game, so more of the same isn't terrible, but it would be great if there was something other than more of the same.
A little bit of variety never hurt anything. And I just thought about this because I remember you said bring back the sub meta, bring back submissions.
That would be cool.
What about if it was as easy as this is just the HP meta completely? What if they triple HP levels, but they only add, let's call it 25 to 50% damage to moves, gyms, unblockable gym damage, stuff like that? Essentially eliminating turn ones. What if you eliminate turn ones? All of a sudden subs become really good again, right? Because you're not going to get turned one back, but you're still going to, catch a whole lot of damage from your opponent. But if you had a sub all the way, you're back to being defensive minded. You're keeping yourself protected. There are a million subs in the game where you sub and do stuff.
Right.
It makes sub and do stuff cards a little bit better. Granted, it would slow down the game and factions would become long grinds again. And
right. But that is kind of what they were going for, like multiple times. I don't know this. I don't think from direct conversation with like the channels I have behind the scenes. But then again, maybe it's something that came from that. So I'll try not to give too much away. But they were trying to slow down the game with certain metas because if everyone can just turn one everything instantly, like it's all you go for is who's the turn one poster, who's the one that I can get and just defeat the game instantly. Whereas what you're talking about would be phenomenal, and there's precedent for it in the sense that the new John Cena's, the shiny Cena's gears give you HP bonus. So yeah, what if, I think they would still need to, so history shows they tend to double gym damage when they go up a meta. Now, that's usually bigger in the silver and gold than on the bronze. So if they go to 7 bronze, that wouldn't necessarily be the case. But I would say if they, like what you said, if they tripled health pools, doubled gym damage, or if they could do 50%, that would be fine. 50% bigger on gym damage, 200% on move damage, because really aside from that one John Cena and that one Rhea Ripley and Zombie Bailey, it's not going to bring too many people screaming into the forefront. But just think about that would mean we would have health pools of like 400, 500 million in some cases. We're doing half a billion in health. That would be crazy, but I'm for it. I mean, devs, if you're listening, you got Slim Numbers' idea right here. Did I lose you? Slim. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Lost you again. He's gone. All right. Slim, back out and come back in one more time. I'm going to swap my headphones. All right. Go ahead and come back in.
Hello,
right.
hello.
I can hear you again.
All right, yay!
Yay! One's in the chat if you can hear Slim. And then whatever you were trying to say when you disappeared, you can say that now.
So, what was I saying? I don't remember. It was something along the lines of I've become enamored with the idea of creating builds for cards that kind of attack damage from 3 different ways.
Right.
So you're not focused on gym damage, you're not focused on move damage, you're not focused on any one of those things. And I think increasing the HP also helps with those style of build sets with larger HP and tier 6 metals involved. Especially since people are going to start getting much more of those legendary tier 6s, and they're going to again Diabloize it and look for quote unquote god rolls and get these legendary metals that fit their particular card so well that they're just like the creme de la creme, or the cream of the crop, so to speak. Hey,
right.
Shout out.
Hey. Nice. Well, actually, that's a great segue. So for this round, our time is up. Not saying we can't do this again, but I always do try to give people as they come in a chance to shout out their faction and say what they love about their faction. Because if you haven't noticed, we try to do our faction roll call. We try to encourage people across all factions. And while we still believe Toxic Mafia is one of the best, we know that we're not the only best. So shout out your faction. Tell us what you love about it.
So cream of the crop is where I've made my home in this game for 90% of me playing it. It is an amazingly unique place where it's 99 friends in a steam pot just playing the game and having fun with it. We're all adults about it. There's not a lot of hand holding. We just go out and we do our 1% to make sure that the faction is going to get every single event maxed, as long as it doesn't take spending, because we're not going to ask for spending. The leadership team, aside from myself, is a bunch of amazing level-headed people, and the faction is top to bottom full of fantastic personalities, people who are funny, people who are compassionate, people who are smart, and it's really just the coolest little section of the entire community that I've been in. No offense to anybody else, because I've been around the place and I love you guys too, but cream of the crop is just absolutely the cream of the crop.
Yeah, can you do your best Macho Man for that? The cream of the crop. Yeah, that would seal it for me.
Oh, yeah, that'd be kind of difficult.
All right. Well, you heard him say it, but I'm going to say it again. Follow Slim Numbers on YouTube and on Twitch. Like every single video that he's done. And I mean it. Go through the list. Click the like button on every single one. Leave a comment. Leave a subscribe there. And follow on Twitch. And, Slim, this has been a lot of fun. I think we should do this again before too long.
Anytime. Just hit me up and I'll put it in my calendar.
All right, sounds good. Well, not only is that going to be the end of this video, that's going to be the end of the stream for me. I was not planning on streaming for over 3 hours today, but you know what? This was my weekend off, and I got to do it. I got to have fun with this. So, Slim, thanks for being here. I'm going to send the video out, and I'm also going to send the stream out. So, streamers, we appreciate you. Thanks to everybody who stopped in throughout this, and we will see you on the next one, friends. Bye.